Okay, so we're liberating mothers. So those are some of my books and a baby massage DVD out there. I also run, tele seminars for mums because I don't really like doing the slides and they don't really have time to sit and watch slides, so they just listen on their, whatever on the earplugs. So lots of other bits and pieces to that business. But my why is to see every mother with a baby in her arms and a smile on her face. And I am an internationally certified lactation consultant, which, is thousands of hours of study and learning about boobs and how to make them work. And I find that a lot of women, the biggest thing that knocks their confidence out is trouble with breastfeeding. So that was, that smile on the face to go into a mother's home and find her struggling, and then you light the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff and you can drag her back up and she's ever so grateful, but it's a really beautiful place to be and place to work. So I created Boobie Bikkies. Now, they are lactation cookies, and I'd been handing out the recipe for years, and I was in Sydney and a friend said to me, what are lactation cookies? I said, I've been giving out the recipe for years, or one that I used to use. I said, but none of the mums I see have got time to make a sandwich, let alone go and find ingredients and make bikkies. And she said, why don't you make them? And I came back from Sydney and my mind was ticking over, and I spoke to my designer and I said something about bikkies. Hayley thinks I should be making bikkies. And I go, it won't go away. And he said, my housemate manages a bakery. And I said, well, I'm coming in to see him. So I sat down with Peter and talked about these cookies and how we would make them. And then Heidi, I just coincidentally was speaking to Heidi shortly after, and she told me about Cindy Lucan owning Lucan and May Cookies. I said, give me a number. I need to ring her up and find out a bit more about this. I had no idea what I was stepping into. I said, what do we need? So I got a food technologist, I got chefs, I got bakers. We started making the cookies, and I was sitting in an incredible place. I went to find out about packaging, and I was in Vizzy's offices with all these fabulous brands and packaging all around me, and here I am sitting there saying, can you make a box that looks like a milk carton? And so they gave the prototype to me, and she took me all around the factory where they make them. And so I had to then figure out how to do it and then give it all to my designer, and we got it done. But there was so much research going on, and thank God we'd started as we meant to carry on, because the food technologist, all that stuff was fairly expensive, but I didn't go into any debt. I managed to just do it on my credit card with what was already on it. So we started with that. And as I was going in to sign off on the packaging, my daughter rang me and she said, have you signed off? I said, I just signed off. I'm in the car park. She said, get back in there and stop it, because the food technologist hadn't cited one of the organic ingredients. They all have to be cited, the certificates for these ingredients. So such a learning curve. 3 months in, we just got it all together. We were ready to do PR. It was International Breastfeeding Week, and the bakery had merged with another bakery and couldn't keep up supply. So they outsourced a batch, so we threw out $5,000 worth of cookies weren't good enough. When I got them all back to pack them at my place, with sheets on the floor and white hats on, because all the cookies are individually packaged, so they would have been clean anyway, but I just went, no, they're not good enough, I've got to throw them out. So we now are with one of Australia's top bakeries in the Snowy Mountains, and they have been fantastic. And so it's been such a learning curve, but, networking, learning, researching, and of course researching all of these ingredients, because they are lactogenic and they actually help mothers boost their milk supply. So, and then you have to market your arse off. We had no money for that. So I wrote blogs for almost every blog, every baby website, every magazine that would have me write a blog, and they were all had to be individual and all different topics. But I wrote those blogs because that meant that, and then we got advertising as a contra. So one of the things we have to do, though, if you're going to start a business or you're going to go left of centre through, out of your own business, is to get your big girl panties on. Guys, I don't know what that means. But, pull them up high, Harry high pants. And you don't worry about people who talk behind your back, because there's a reason they're behind you. Don't worry about it. I had some really, really nasty flack in the beginning. And even just a few weeks ago, I got this email. I'd sent out my email newsletter, and I got an email back saying, nice to see you're creating a money-making dynasty out of the suffering of new mothers. And I went, share the dynasty. Kids, do you want to inherit a dynasty? You know, because the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how much you sell when you start your business. It's like the elves and the shoemaker. You know, you create something, you sell one, whatever it is, that's gone. Next week you have to make 2 of them. So it doesn't matter what you sell, you've got to have that money there to make the next lot, to get the next lot of packaging, to pay the bakery in advance, to pay the transport. There's a lot of expense in doing it. And so you have to be ahead of it all. And so, you know, people just don't get that. I mean, I had people with my books thinking I was making millions and millions. I get $2.50 a book. It's the royalty, it's 10%, it's bugger all, and then you pay your tax. So, you know, really. And don't be afraid of making money. Don't feel bad about it. You know, it can be awful when people say, oh, you're in it for the money. Of course you're in it for the fucking money. I mean, how do you sustain your business? How do you help people? You make money and you make a difference and you can give it away. You know, be kind and generous, but you have to make the money. And that was just an email I got a few days ago from a mum saying, without you, my baby would have weaned, had you not given me that advice and support, and without your Boobie Bikkies, we probably would not be feeding anymore, which is a heartbreaking thought for me. I've had mothers saying, you know, one mother sent us an email saying, I was on my way to the chemist to buy formula and my sister rang me and said, get Boobie Bikkies instead. And she said, so I haven't needed the formula. That mother's doctor had advised her to wean. So, you know, you have women who've got to their 4th child and haven't been able to breastfeed the others and are saying, I've got milk and I've even got a stash in the freezer. So, you know, that's really rewarding and you have to cover your costs. You can't just say, oh, I'm doing it all for charity, because you're not going to be able to keep going. So be true to you. You are a one-off, and be you. I have a doctor who's taking legal action against me at the moment because I've spoken out about the way I wrote an article responding to him. He had a big article in the Sydney Telegraph about how he does sleep training on babies. You put them in the bedroom at 7 o'clock at night. You say, good night, sweetheart, I'll see you in the morning. And that's what you do even if they vomit. So I don't like that. So I spoke out. That's me on Insight. I was on a program about hitting children. And I happen to have said assault's assault, whatever the age or relationship of that person. So, you know, I had some people getting really angry with me at that. But again, pull up your big girl panties and just be who you're going to be. You know, and be the best you can be. Whatever you're doing, go out and study and learn. Just 2 weeks ago, I spent 3 days on the Gold Coast at a conference learning about tongue tie. There were 21 different disciplines there. It was really expensive, but it was worth it for me because I can help mothers even better than I was before. So, you know, keep learning and delegate work. You know, you're never going to get rich doing $20 an hour jobs. And hire the best people you can afford, even if you only have them for a couple of hours a week. I've got a lovely mum in Canberra who manages my Mummy Member program. She works for me 4 hours a week. And that's all she needs to do. And that's, you know, and if her kid needs her before work, I just said, always family first. That's the value, because it's all going to go pear-shaped. Pay them what they're worth. You know, don't skimp. Although I did have a PA who went off and became a stripper because I could only afford to have her work part-time. So she could earn a couple of grand in a night. I wasn't paying more than that for a whole week's work. So just be careful who you employ if they're hot and they want more money. And, you know, trust those people, and when you give them the job, let them do it. I had a young girl, my son came to me about 18 and said his friend Rachel had depression and hadn't been able to work, and did I have any work for her? And I said, send her round. And I sat down with Rachel, and Rachel knew I wrote books. She didn't know anything else about what I did. I said, what would be your dream job, Rachel? She said, event management. I said, righto, you're on, kid. You're going to organise my talks in Sydney. And I showed her what to do. She did it. She had a fabulous phone manner. She did a great job. I said, and then I'll take you to Sydney with me. So I took her to Sydney with me for the weekend. So, you know, you can give anyone a break. That, you know, you're giving someone a job. And give generously. That's at the Nappy Collective. They're a great organisation, a great charity. That was at their launch in Melbourne. And Boobie Bikkies sponsored the Nappy Collective. We were a sponsor for that. I write blogs. I give away free ebooks. I've actually got mums telling their stories on our Boobie Bikkies blog. I've got my own website blog, but I also have a blog on Boobie Bikkies. We give away a free ebook on how to make more mummy milk naturally, and people can just do that, which builds our list, but it also gives the mums the support they need, because a single Bikkie's not going to help you unless you actually do feed the baby. Facebook pages, you can have them really engaging. Give away random gifts, give them to your staff. We just had some beautiful fridge magnets made, quite big ones with milk storage guidelines. How long can you keep your breast milk in the fridge or in the freezer or on the bench or in your work bag? What can you do? So I did a little fridge magnet. It's hot pink. It's beautiful. And we just tuck them into some of the packages when we send out the Boobie Bikkies. So people get a little surprise. Mummy meetups. I used to occasionally have meetups for mums at a very child-friendly cafe with the playground outside in Melbourne, because I had been to see 3 different mums within a week, all within the same block of each other in Melbourne. And I'd say to them, have you talked about this in your mother's group? And they said, oh no, everyone's so together. And I said, you only see them on the day they come out of their house. They probably won't wear their pyjamas to mum's group, but they're probably in their pyjamas crying into their tea towels or their sink at home, just like you are. But because of confidentiality, I couldn't say, do you know her around the corner? You could actually walk there with your baby and sit there together and fold each other's washing. So we had these mummy meetups, and then Marguerite closed her cafe, and I was really busy, and a mum said to me, you haven't had a meetup for a while. And I said, you haven't really had time, and I need a new venue. She said, if I organise it, will you come? And I said, yes. So I took my 2 grandbabies that day, cafe, park next to it. And the mums wanted to keep meeting up, and they were going to share emails. I said, how about we just make you a Facebook group? We made that Facebook group, and within 2 months, we had 400 mothers meeting in Melbourne. Now we have thousands all over the place. Last night, I had an email from Scotland saying, can we start a group here? Yesterday, I had an email from New Zealand saying, can we start a group here? And we just ask anyone who wants to run one to send us an email and tell us about themselves. There's no rules, except there's no controlled crying, no baby sleep training, and no smacking of children. Apart from that, you can wear Birkenstocks or high heels, you can breastfeed or bottle feed, you can push a pram, you can wear your baby, you can do whatever the hell you like, because mothers are very, very cliquey, and it can be really awful if you have to define yourself with a label. I just say, is it safe? Is it respectful? Does it feel right? And go for it. So, give. And there's no charge for any of these meetups. It's just meet up, and we do the Facebook pages, and it's all voluntary. And we give the girls who run them, the coordinators, we'll give them special gifts, and we'll give them memberships in my membership program. So, we support them, and they have their own little special group. But, it just means everyone can get something out of it and be supported. And laugh. That's the most important thing. That guy's somebody's husband in Brisbane, and he's an MMA fighter or something, and he's having his morning greens and put on the Boobie Bikkies T-shirt. So, just laugh, have fun while you're doing it. And just the latest laugh was the other day, my girl in Canberra was talking about her PMS and how shitty it was. So I packaged up, I'd been to New Zealand, and I had a bag of Pinky bars that I'd brought back and a fridge magnet about women needing chocolate. So I got her some essential oils, a little PMS pack, and put it in with the chocolates and the fridge magnet and sent it to her. She said she had just lost it with her 4-year-old, and the mailman came to the door, and she was in her pyjamas, and she said, and there, she opened it up, and there was the PMS cure for her. So sometimes just having a bit of a joke is really good. And that's it.